So I waited a few months, 3 months to be exact, to make this video out of respect for my father-in-law Roy Stee. He died 3 months ago of complications leading from chemotherapy treatment because he was told he had cancer. His is becoming a fairly typical story in this day and age, and I think it's a tsunami of illness that's occurring to us. The reasons behind that I can go into in other videos. This is kind of dedicated to Roy, and it's also dedicated to my desire to encourage people to distill their water. Over the past 3 years or so, my father-in-law and I hadn't really seen eye to eye because, you know, I'd started taking those red pills. I'd started seeing behind the veil and unpicking some of the scabs of the truth about what's going on in the world and the way that the world is run. He found this, like most people do, like my own father has done, found this extremely difficult to hear, and the reaction is to be angry with the person delivering the message. So my father-in-law, and then story. Now, at the same time, I was, had come into learning about distilled water, and I'm trying to convince everybody around me to drink distilled water. And in a short space of time, my family, my wife, Andrew, and my children, came around to it. So much so that my oldest daughter at university was upset this one time. I forgot to bring her a gallon jug of water on our trip down there, which is what I normally do. So that was how distilled water has become an essential part of our healthfulness, and we feel lost without clean water. It's that important. But my father-in-law poo-pooed it. My father-in-law, about a year ago, sat at the dinner table and said, in reference to the distilled water, he said, "It sounds like a load of shit to me." And because I was extolling it, and the children were kind of going along with it and so on. Then, of course, he became seriously ill for the second time. He'd been through the round of chemo, but then he became seriously ill in March. And in April, he became so unwell that he went into hospital, and within 5 days he was dead. But on the last day that he was really clearly communicative, my wife asked him if there was anything that he needed. Was there anything that we could bring him? And he said, "Maybe you could bring me some of Dave's water," in reference to the distilled water. He was dying, and he was already having that over. We call them hallucinations, but he was starting to see beyond the veil of this material realm that we cling to so dearly. He was able to see beyond that, and I like to think that he was starting to realize that a lot of the stuff that I've uncovered is real, is true. And yeah, that was his last request, some of Dave's water. Anyway, so if you're on the fence about distilled water, I suggest you look into it. I would like to add that Roy's wife, Wilma, is doing okay, and I think that with her daughter's help, she will move forward with her life, her story, and live her story richly. Unlike this other old lady who we're taking to tea this afternoon. Well, actually, I've gotten out of it because I'm working, but Andrea's taking her to tea. She won't move on. Anyway, I'm not going to belabor that. This is about distilled water, and to remember my dear father-in-law, who, like most people, found out the truth right at the end. It's kind of too late to do anything about it in this story, so hope that's helpful to you. Have a super day.